Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of 5 Minutes with During the Break. It's where I bring on a guest. My commitment is try to keep it to as close to 5 minutes with them as possible. They've already been given the topic or the question. Today, I am talking to Janet Dunn. Janet Dunn is the president and CEO of the YMCA Metropolitan Chattanooga. Talking to Janet Dunn. Janet Dunn is the president and CEO of the YMCA Metropolitan Chattanooga. She's also one of the best leaders I know. She's a creative thinker. She's been with the YMCA for a long time. People look up to her. She has a lot of responsibility. She's had one of the best quotes I ever had. I had her on video shows that I do here in Chattanooga. And I asked her one time years ago, I said, so what book would you recommend for leaders? And everybody has different thoughts on that. She looked at me, she goes, there's not a book. I wouldn't suggest a book to make someone a leader. If people like to read, that's great, but I don't think there's a book that will make you a leader. And I thought that was cool. The second thing she said, I said, hey, what makes a good leader? Especially somebody that's been in a leadership role. And she said to be vulnerable enough to learn, which is kind of putting your ego aside. I thought that was very cool. So with that being said, I do have a question for Janet Dunn, and I'm going to get her on the phone. And when she picks up, she and I are going to start talking. So there you go. Janet Dunn from the Chattanooga YMCA, the president and CEO. We'll talk to her. Okay, Janet Dunn, are you there? You're still there.
I'm here.
I didn't disconnect
I'm still here. No.
Good. I was telling you that we have new, every time I push a button, I'm worried that somebody's going through like one of those, like they're getting launched out of a car, the eject buttons.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't let me be at the other end of the missile.
No, I'm not launching.
Ability to launch.
I'm not launching missiles. Okay. But here's the deal. I'm doing this new feature, and it's 5 minutes on During the Break. You've been a guest on a number of the radio shows, and podcasts, and I'm always appreciative of your time. So what I want to do is jump straight into it because I think it's a pretty cool question. So for the listeners, here's the question I sent to Janet. Where do you get your motivation? In other words, a lot of times leaders are looked to motivate and inspire all from them and mimic, and they do this. And so it's easy sometimes to almost feel like a battery. People are coming to me for ideas and motivation and keep them inspired. But where do leaders turn? Where do you turn?
Mm-hmm. It's a great question, and quite frankly, I turn back to them because we have wonderful people with such a heart for the mission of what we do that they inspire me each and every day. When I hear stories of impactful things that my staff team have done in this community that has changed the life of a child, of an adult, of someone with a chronic illness, of someone with cancer, I am inspired to continue to do this work by them.
When you see those moments, because again, everybody gets really busy. We've got our to-do list, our checklist, meetings to run to. Have you found it? You've been in a position of leadership for so long. Have you found it difficult to slow down and notice that? Or is it reflection? In other words, it's probably happening around you a lot. When you see these moments, mm-hmm. Is it part of your nature now to acknowledge it, maybe even silently, or is it something you have to intentionally slow down and do?
Well, a little bit of both. I think that our people are so happy for themselves to hear and to see these stories that they're eager to share. And so I get a lot of these things that are shared to me by our people. I do have the luxury of being able to go around and see a lot of the things that we do in action, and so experiencing them firsthand. But I know that at the end of the day, there's been a lot of good people behind every good experience that I'm able to have. So it's a little of both. I mean, we're all busy, but this is my business.
Right.
And I can't do my business if I don't know what that business is. And if I don't get out and see the good things that people are doing and the experiences that they are providing others through the YMCA, then I really cannot be effective at all.
How many people?
Kind of like the guy who is it that owns Walmart or that used to go to all of his stores and walk down the aisles and talk to the people who were shopping and all of those kinds of things, and really being able to and making decisions then about the business based on what he heard. those are the kind of people that I think are inspiring.
I think that's the guy from Costco that did that. I think he's the guy.
Is that who it was?
I think
Okay.
so. I'm not sure. But how many and volunteers? I kind of got a round number, but it impresses me every time I hear it.
Yeah, no, we have 1,400 employees. Volunteers, oh my heavens!
And you can lie. You can lie to us. It's okay.
Well, I can't tell you the exact number, but I can tell you that it's in the thousands.
The reason
I can tell you that if we calculate a volunteer person, and we've done that, so we put $19 an hour on a volunteer hour. Okay, so if I calculate that, then I'm coming up with well over $1 million of money that is given back to this organization through volunteers.
Wow. And the reason I was asking that question is because sometimes if you're in a leadership position, you don't have to lead thousands of people. It could be a company of 2 or 3 or just in your family. I think it's easy to forget that to be inspired and the impact you're having is really around you. Sometimes just go walk through your business or slow down long enough to be grateful for the people in your world. I would look somebody like you and go, well, she's surrounded by, thousands of stories to go find motivation from every day. But to be honest with you, I guess we all are surrounded by it if we slow down and really look for it.
Oh, right. Or if you develop a culture of sharing those stories. So, it's important that for us, we have a culture. We always ask about what is the life-changing thing that you have the opportunity to see this week or do this week. We start every one of our executive management team meetings with that, so that people are sharing the stories. It not only helps them, be sure that they're looking for them, but it certainly helps connect us to what the kinds of things that we're doing. And then opportunities. My staff are always inviting me to things that they're doing that they're proud of, that they want me and others to see, and it keeps you going from day to day. When you have a bad day, all you need to do is go and see wonderful things, a Rock Steady class that we're doing for people with Parkinson's, and you realize, first of all, your problems are minimal. And secondly, thank goodness for the why that we can provide for them a place where they can get healthy again.
I love it. And I want to thank you for your time. And I'm going to some takeaways from this. If you're listening to this as a business owner or a leader, first of all, you're probably a leader and don't know it. Just because you don't have it on your business card doesn't mean people aren't looking at you. But be intentional. And if you own a business, try to develop that culture of, hey, let's share some positive stories. Let's share some inspiration, and also slow down long enough to walk or the manufacturing or the office or go visit with the client, but be intentional about finding reasons to keep doing what you're doing. And I think it's good advice to everybody listening. And Janet Dunn, I appreciate you jumping on the phone with me.
Absolutely. Happy to do it, Clint.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. That is Janet Dunn, the CEO and PA Metropolitan Chattanooga. And thank you for listening. Goodbye to Janet. And for our listeners, keep listening to duringthebreakpodcast.com. Feel free to